Have you ever wondered what separates those who succeed from those who don't? Is it talent, luck, or something else entirely? True success, it isn't built in the spotlight. It's crafted in the quiet moments, in the unseen effort, and without the distraction of applause. Silent work, the kind that nobody notices, creates the foundation for lasting success. Silence matters because it sharpens your focus, and patience and discipline make the results undeniable. And that's why we need to embrace making the preparation in the darkness. Not as a place of invisibility, but as a space where your best work is forged. I can compare this silent work to the roots of a tree. They're invisible beneath the surface, but they're vital for the strength, growth, and the stability. But the initial challenge we face in getting to that is our innate desire for validation and instant recognition. But why is it that we do crave that, especially so early in our effort? And how is it that allowing that tendency can end up holding us back and becoming a detriment? I can't say for certain, but if you look at our modern culture, it certainly glorifies instant results. And that, in and of itself, creates a false expectation of success without effort. Easy validation, it can distract you from the work that matters, the work that will ultimately allow you to stand out with distinction. And giving into that causes you to take a premature focus on the external opinions instead of building that internal growth and fortitude that you need for the long haul, for the long game. You know, this silent work, it allows you to focus on the process and not the adulation. Because the ultimate path to lasting success begins by detaching from the need for instant validation. Instant gratification is like planting seeds and then digging them up too soon to see if they've sprouted. You need to let the roots take hold. Slow your roll. Because if you're anything like me, you want to put your best foot forward. And doing that takes deliberate action and precision. And deliberate action and precision come with time. Because ask yourself right now, what happens if you stay committed to a process, even if nobody's watching? If you really allow yourself to be engaged in it, if you really strive towards it, like you don't care about what anybody has to say about it, what happens to you? What happens to your ability on that task? You know, you really do have to make the distinction for yourself of what it is that you're after. Are you after developing a skill in whatever area of interest that you have? Or are you after the adulation? There isn't any shame in coming to an honest answer to that question, regardless of which one it is, but it will inform you on the nature of the person you're dealing with. That I mean yourself. What monster are you to have to wrangle? Because you're the one with that task. So take a good look at yourself and assess it, and assess what you're in this for. But if it is that you care about whatever it is that you're trying to do, and you want to do it as well as you can, and you want to pursue it in a way where you're thinking of it as you're efforting yourself to become one of the best, if not the best, at this particular trade, skill, or area of interest. If it is that it's that, then knowing what you're dealing with will give you a lot of insight in order to move forward in the best way possible. If you're into the hard work and the silent effort, it's going to require focus, and that focus will not come with outside motivation. And you're going to have to put in long-term hours and long-term effort working towards long-term results rather than short-term anything. The added bonus you'll end up walking away with is the opportunity to strengthen your character through perseverance, because the act of showing up consistently, and especially in isolation, creates unshakable habits. Discipline is forged in the silence. It ensures you're prepared when opportunities do arise. Like sharpening a blade. It's a slow, repetitive process, but gradually, over time, the blade is sharp and it's ready. If you don't know, my name is Chad Joshua, and I'm working my way through writing 100 songs. And I write songs about populism and freedom and liberty. And I use this channel as my artist channel in order to promote those songs. And I like to have these discussions in order to focus on the best strategies that lend to us accomplishing the things that we have set out to. And in my experience with all of this, there has been times when I have had one foot in, one foot out in both aspects. And I have been able to learn very valuable lessons from that. As an artist who's creating any kind of work, the full circle of that work is sharing that art with somebody else in order to experience it through their eyes and, in effect, complete the circle. And at a younger age, when I was doing this, and a lot more insecure than I am now, I would start to write something, and before I had learned any kind of self-control, I would have found a half dozen people to try to share my idea with. Now keep in mind, the idea that I was sharing was not refined, it was not produced, it was not fine-tuned. In my imagination it was. I could fill in all of the gaps. And I was attempting to share it with others in order to feed off of some sort of a validation, gratify myself in some way, in order to take fuel from that or to re-motivate myself or whatever the function of it is. I was in effect setting myself a booby trap, because I would be handing people who were not artists, who didn't keep the practice of imagining all of the holes filled in, and I would hand them my work and they would have a look of repulsion on their face. And so I was learned real quick on that. So over time I adapted myself, and I had this one friend for a brief period of time, and she thought it was cute to call me a musician, and me being a chronic overthinker, I thought that all the way through. And what that means to me now is in regards to the presentation. And if you think about a magician and the sleight of hand and the hiding something right in front of you and all of the effort in order for them to be able to do that, all of the practice and the deliberateness in order for them to be able to conceal the trick right before your eyes, I started to realize that is really where the money is. And so then I started to be able to clearly see why and how I could apply that to what I was doing as a musician. And that led me really to leaning into this idea of silent work and preparing first. And I've mentioned this in other videos and how I probably did all of that overboard as well, in a sense that I'd overcorrected myself. But if you can find the center, the idea is such that, you get everything in order, you prepare, and you build it all together in a deliberate way. And while you'll find me on here preaching about, starting messy and learning as you go, that's all true, but that could all be related to doing the silent work, getting to that. This all has to do with the performance, and it has to do with the presentation. And in order for you to give a performance or to give a presentation wherein you're creating any kind of awe or wonder for whoever it is that is spectating it. This is regardless of whether you're doing something in the arts or you're a builder and you're sharpening your skills. You really have to put in the hours into developing that for yourself, so that way you can pull it off. That is why this lends to success in such a great way. Now, I might have spent too many years in the preparation, and you shouldn't, but if you can strike that balance, then it will work definitely in your advantage to do that. You have to start to trust the process and understand that the results will take time, but they will manifest. There's no way around it. So long as you're committed and you're persistent, there is no way around it. Every small effort, it compounds over time. You're only building on what you created the day before. And whenever you eventually allow for anyone to see it, all they will see is the magic of what you've done and not the effort. That is how you earn the right to be able to share whatever it is that you have to share in a very genuine way that is removed from this feeding any sense of instant gratification to something that is so much more honorable and really beautiful in terms of the nature of life and the circle of the artistic creation, and in that you did your part in order to create the spectacle, and the observer enjoys what you did so much that they shine in the exact way that you were hoping, to acknowledge the inclination that you had to pursue the thing that you were efforting yourself to create, because your instinct told you it would pay off in the way that it did. Another example of this could be a comedian who just tools and crafts every word of their 30-minute routine until it's precise and honed in, and before they ever walk into the doing of it, they discuss how they anticipate how the joke will resonate. Like, they have an innate understanding of how it will be funny, and it will connect. And they do it all, and they build it all, and they put all the time into it in order to get the payoff. But the payoff doesn't come without the work. And those people who do something that's so flash in the pan, and they do gain some sort of an instantaneous recognition or instantaneous validation, they haven't built any of the meat and the potatoes, so to speak, into the process, and it's really just based on flash. And if they have the ability to sustain it, then God bless them, but I really have to question whether or not it is something that's so easily sustainable without having it based on a really informed and a really hard-learned or hard-earned skill set that you had spent a considerable amount of time and effort developing. So if you're anything like me and you're interested in presenting yourself in the best light possible, then hopefully there's been one or two takeaways in this discussion. And if you haven't had the chance to hear my new song, you can listen to it here. And you keep your head up, and I'm going to keep mine up, and we'll talk again soon.